And we're live. What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope everybody's understanding what's going on through Jeremiah, Isaiah. Um, if you have a heart, if something like this, I have an aunt, man, and she's like, when it comes to scripture, she just needs help, like needs, and also Ephesians chapter 5 talks about there's supposed to be a fivefold ministry. You're supposed to be appointed to a teacher. You're supposed to be appointed to a shepherd, and we're supposed to and that's also where the not to forsake the assembling comes in, because we're supposed to help each other understand this stuff and provoke each other to stay in until the end. Help each other out, be a family, be the body, and come out of the world. That's the whole goal of this whole thing, is for us to be separate from how the world is. It's the whole purpose. And so hopefully everybody's understanding what's going on in the context of Jeremiah, and how it relates to the kings that come after David, come after Solomon, which was Jeroboam, Rehoboam, and the split of the kingdom. And, I can't stress that enough. Um, so I hope that makes sense. And yesterday, these Jeremiah, every one of them is so important. You can't miss any of these. If you do, you need to go back and watch them before you watch the new one, because you have to have context, right? It's the whole point. So, yesterday, for a little summary, we learned about who Baruch was, and also we seen that Jeremiah was being sent to that sovereign during the time period of course, the exile, when the father is using Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babylon, to seek to besiege them, so and take them into exile for 70 years. We don't have to wonder how many years they was in exile, because the scripture tells us it was 70 years, and then they come back. Of course, Israel, us, was scattered to the four corners of the earth, and we're being brought back one by one, and we can literally watch that happen. And it wasn't of what you did, not of works, lest any man should boast. You was called out of your darkness. That's your salvation. That's your deliverance. Um, and the Messiah died in your place. He died in my place. He died. You sinned before. I've sinned. We've all transgressed the law, and we was all worthy of death. The Messiah stepped in that place for you, and of course we're all still appointed to die. Our flesh is, but the gift is eternal life. Um, and the goal is that kingdom. We're all striving to be in that kingdom, just like the prayer. They call it the Lord's Prayer in Matthew. It says, um, "Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, as in heaven as it is on earth." It says it all right there. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done. Um, oh, we're going to, Brother Scott. I mean, no doubt about it. Yeah, we're going to. That's for sure. Second Baruch, you nailed it, brother. That's it, man. You nailed it. You can bank on it. We're going to read that. I don't know how far we get, because it's a pretty long one. We already read the first one, so. And see, now we know who Baruch is, so we have the context to read Baruch. It's awesome, guys. And let me know if there's anything that's like, since you've been studying the scripture like we've been doing daily, if anything's opened your eyes, let me know, because I've I've seen a lot of things that people don't talk about. Guys, this is huge. We're almost in Ezekiel. Then we'll be in Daniel, and then the rest of the minor prophets, guys, they fly right by. Some of them are only 2 or 3 chapters long, and I'm telling you, we're almost in the New Testament, guys. We've almost finished the whole Scripture in context. You know how huge that is? It's awesome. Yeah, that's for sure, Scott. With everything, that's with everything. And then we also compare, right? Be Bereans and compare, because we have to, like I talked about before, I talked about this a little bit before in the past, that we have to use textual criticism. And even if you don't want to, you still have to. And the reason is because we don't have original copies. We have copies of copies of copies of copies. So we have to use textual criticism to see if there's an agenda behind what they're trying to say, or if it's actually the truth. Because like we, talked about before, if one dot, if one period, if one word is out of place or changed, then it can change the whole meaning. So that's why we have to use criticism. Amen, brother. Sister Pam, good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing okay. Guys, be praying for me. I have a toothache just come out of nowhere. And for some reason, I'm feeling like I'm starting to get borderline, not feverish, but I feel like I'm starting to get a head cold. So please, it might be the infection in my tooth or something. I don't know, but I'm not feeling the best. So please pray for me about that. But I'm going to jump straight into it, guys. We have 12 more chapters to go in Jeremiah. I want to try to get them done tonight so we can be in Ezekiel tomorrow. Hang on. Let me go to Jeremiah. Okay. I don't know what chapter we left off in. Brother Scott, tell us. Yeah, for sure. That's what I need to start taking vitamins. I was just talking about that earlier. Actually, have to start taking vitamins. Scott, tell me what chapter we're in, man. Or I could just go back and count 12 back. I know we had 12 left, so. Okay, chapter 40. Well, okay. Thanks, brother. Okay. And like we said, 12 more chapters, so. I'll go ahead and pray us in. And like I said, guys, I'm really not feeling that good for some reason. Like my head feels kind of swimmy. I will do my best, though. If you guys remember the other day, I had a stopped up nose, and maybe that's probably what it is. You know, I'm got a head cold or something. I think I'm not feeling the strongest. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight, Father, to seek your word and to study your word, to show ourselves approved, Father. And Father, we pray that we can understand your word as we go through it tonight, Father, and that we could have the context and know the doctrine that you want us to live by. Without a shadow of a doubt, Father, make these things easy for us to know and plant them in our hearts, Father, so we can live it out. Father, we just thank you for gathering us tonight, Father, to study your word and to be a body for people all around the world, Father. We think that's amazing. We know you're amazing, Father, and your will is just tremendous. There's not words for it, Father. We thank you for calling us out of the dark, Father, so we can taste a part of that. Father, we pray to be set apart from this world and to be your people. Father, I pray for strength tonight, and I pray for you to use me to the best of my abilities tonight, Father, to deliver your word and to know your word. In Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Jeremiah chapter 40. Let's go. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah after Nebuzaradan, which is not Nebuchadnezzar, but it's the chief of the guard of Babylon, had let him go from Ramah when he had taken him bound in chains among all the exiles from Jerusalem and Judah who were being exiled to Babylon, as we talked about earlier, for 70 years because of their idolatry. He talked about that multiple in detail, of why they was being taken to Babylon, of what they'd done. They would not listen to the prophets. And they also put Jeremiah in prison for a little while, we see. And the chief, but Yahuwah, the Father told him in the beginning, he said, if you, I want you to go do this and deliver my word, and I'll be with you. And the chief of the guard took Jeremiah and said to him, Yahuwah your Elohim has spoken this evil on this place, and Yahuwah has brought it on and has done, and he has said, because you have sinned against Yahuwah and did not obey his voice, therefore this matter has come upon you. And now see, I loosen you today from the chains that were on your hand, if it seems good to you to come to Babylon, come, and I shall look after you. But if it seems wrong for you to come with me to Babylon, remain here. See, all the land is before you. Go wherever it seems good and right for you to go. And before he replied, Nebuzaradan said, or go back to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, whom the sovereign of Babylon has made governor over the cities of Judah, and dwell with him among the people, or go wherever it seems right for you to go. And the chief of the guard gave him provisions and a gift, and let him go. So Jeremiah went to Gedaliah, or however you want to pronounce that, son of Ahakim, to Mitzpah, and dwelt with him among the people who were left in the land. And all the commanders of the armies who were in the fields, they and their men, heard that the sovereign of Babylon had made Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, governor in the land, and had put him in the charge of the men and women and children and the poor of the land who had not been exiled to Babylon. Because remember, we told earlier that the poor got to stay there in Babylon. The poor got to stay in Jerusalem, and the widows and stuff like that. So they came to Gedaliah at Mitzpah, Yishmael, the son of Nethanyahu, and Johanan, and Jonathan, the sons of Kareah, and Seraiah, the son of Tanhumeth, and the sons of Orphi, the Nephathite, and Yehu, the son of Maachathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, swore to them and their men, saying, do not be afraid of serving the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve their sovereign of Babylon. See, it says, dwell in the land and the sovereign of Babylon. Remember, we have the story in Daniel. Everybody knows this story of Mithrak, Shadrach, and Abednego. They would not bow down to their sovereign in Babylon, even though they was in exile. And it shall be well with you, and I see I am dwelling at Mitzpah to serve the Chaldeans who come to us, but you gather wine and summer fruit and oil and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities which you have taken. Also, when all the Yehudim, which is the real scriptural Jews, who were in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom, and who were in all the lands, heard that sovereign of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and that he had set over them Gedaliah at Mitzpah, and gathered wine and summer fruit in large quantities. And Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army that were in the fields came to Gedaliah at Mitzpah. And guys, I'm really trying with these names. I'm not real good at the names. And they said to him, do you know that Belias, sovereign of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, to take your life? But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, would not believe them. Wow, this is a hard one to get through tonight for some reason. Then Johanan, son of Kareah, spoke secretly to Gedaliah in Mitzpah, saying, please let me go and smite Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, without anyone knowing it. Why should he murder you, and so let all the Yehudim who are gathered to you be scattered, and let the remnant in Judah perish? But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, said to Johanan, son of Kareah, do not do this matter, for what you are saying about Ishmael is not true. 41. And in the 7th month it came to be that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the royal seed, and of the officers of the sovereign, came with 10 men to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, at Mitzpah, and while they ate bread together there in Mitzpah, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men who were with him arose and smote Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, with the sword, and killed him whom the sovereign of Babylon had made governor over the land. So we see this guy, Ishmael, and 10 men who were with him killed the sovereign Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, and the son of Shaphan, with the sword, which was the sovereign of Babylon, and was appointed over Jerusalem, which we also seen this in 2 Kings. And Ishmael smote all the Yehudim who were with him, and Gedaliah at Mizpah, and the Chaldeans who were found there, the men of battle. And it came to be on the second day after he had killed Gedaliah, when no one yet knew it, that men came from Shechem and Shiloh, and from Shomron, 80 men with their beards shaved and their garments torn, having cut themselves, with offerings and incense in their hand, to bring them to the house of Yahuwah. And Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, went out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he walked along. And it came to be, as he met them, that he said to them, Go to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. And it came to be, when they came inside the city, that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, slew them, throwing them into a pit, he and the men who were with him. But 10 men were found among them who said to Ishmael, Do not kill us, for we have wheat and barley and oil and honey hidden in the field. So he held back and did not kill them among their brothers. And the pit into which Ishmael had thrown all the corpses of men whom had been slain because of Gedaliah was the same one Asa the sovereign had made for fear of Baasha, sovereign of Yasharel. Ishmael, son of Nathaniah, had filled it with the slain. Then Ishmael took captive all the rest of the people who were in Mizpah, the sovereign's daughters, and all the people who were left at Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, had entrusted to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, and Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, took them captive and went to go over the Ammonites. But Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army that were with him heard of all the evil that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had done. So they took all the men and went to fight with Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and they found him by the great pool that is in Gibeon. And it came to be, when all the people who were with Ishmael saw Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army who were with him, that they were glad. And all the people whom Ishmael had taken captive from Mizpah turned around and came back and went to Johanan, son of Kareah. But Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army that were with him took from Mizpah all the rest of the people whom he had recovered from Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, after he had murdered Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, the mighty men of battle, and the women and the children and the eunuchs whom he had brought back from Gibeon. And they set out and dwelt in the lodging place of Kimham, which is near Bethlehem, to go to enter Mitzrayim, Egypt, because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, but because Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, had smitten Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, whom the sovereign of Babylon had made governor in the land. Amen. That's Jeremiah 41. That was a hard one to get through because of all the names. 42. Then all the commanders of the army, and Johanan, son of Kareah, and Yezaniah, son of Hoshayah, I'm sure there's a better way to pronounce that, but I can't say it, Yashayah, and all the people from the least to the greatest came near, and said to Jeremiah the prophet, We beg you, let our petition be acceptable to you, and pray for us to Yahuwah our Elohim for all this remnant, for we are few left of many, as your eyes see us. And let Yahuwah your Elohim show us the way in which we should walk, and the word we should do. And Jeremiah the prophet said to them, I have heard. See, I am praying to Yahuwah your Elohim according to your words, and it shall be that I declare to you all the word Yahuwah answers you. I withhold not a word from you. And they said to Jeremiah, Let Yahuwah be a true and steadfast witness between us, if we do not do according to all the word which Yahuwah or your Elohim sends us by you. Whether good or evil, let us obey the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim, to whom we send you, in order that it might be well with us when we obey the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim. And after 10 days it came to be that the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah. So he called Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army which were with him, and all the people from the least even to the greatest. and said to them, Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharel, to whom you sent me to present your petition before him, if you would indeed stay in this land, then I shall build you and not pull you down, and I shall plant you and not pluck you up, for I have relented of the evil I have done to you. Do not be afraid of the sovereign of Babylon, of whom you are afraid. Do not be afraid of him, declares Yahuwah, for I am with you to save you and deliver you from his hand. And I shall show you compassion, so that he has compassion on you, and let you return to your own land. But if you say, We are not staying in this land, and so disobey the voice of your Elohim, saying, No, but we are going to the land of Mitzrayim, so that we see no fighting, nor hear the sound of the shofar, the ram's horn, nor hunger for bread, and there we shall. Then the word of Yahuwah, O remnant of Judah, you there in the land of Mitzrayim, and the scarcity of food of which you were afraid clings to you there in Mitzrayim, and you die there. And so shall it be with all the men who set their faces to go to Mitzrayim to sojourn there. They shall die by the sword, by scarcity of food, and by pestilence, and not one of them shall survive or escape from the evil I am bringing upon them. For thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, as my displeasure and my wrath have been poured out on the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so shall my wrath be poured out on you when you enter Mitzrayim. And you shall be an oath and an astonishment and a curse and a reproach, and you shall see this place no more. Yahuwah has spoken about you, O remnant of Judah. Do not go to Mitzrayim. Know for certain that I have warned you this day. And you think about it, it's kind of crazy because remember, the first Exodus was from Mitzrayim, Egypt, right? When they was taken captive there by the Pharaoh. And now they want to go back. Ain't that crazy? But he's telling them not to. For you deceived yourselves when you sent me to Yahuwah, your Elohim, saying, Pray for us to Yahuwah, our Elohim, and according to all that Yahuwah, your Elohim says, so declare to us, and we shall do it. So I have declared it to you today, but you have not obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim, in all which he has sent me to you. And now know for certain that you shall die by the sword, by scarcity of food, and by pestilence in the place where you have desired to go to sojourn. 43. And it came to be when Jeremiah had ended speaking all these words to all the people, all the words of Yahuwah their Elohim, for which Yahuwah their Elohim had sent him to them, that Azariah, son of Hoshea, and Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the proud men spoke, saying to Jeremiah, You are speaking a lie. Yahuwah our Elohim has not sent you to say, Do not go to Mitzrayim to sojourn there. For Baruch, son of Neriah, is moving you against us to give us into the hand of the Chaldeans to put us to death or exile us to Babylon. So Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army, and all the people disobeyed the voice of Yahuwah to stay in the land of Judah. And Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the army took all the remnant of Judah who had returned to dwell in the land of Judah from all the nations where they had been driven, the men, the women, and the children, and the sovereign's daughters, and every being whom Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, had left with Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, and Jeremiah the prophet, and Baruch, son of Neriah. So they went to the land of Mitzrayim, for they disobeyed the voice of Yahuwah, and they went as far as Taphanes. And the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah in Taphanes, saying, Take large stones in your hand, and you shall hide them before the eyes of the men of Judah, and in the day in the brick courtyard, which is an entrance to Pharaoh's house in Taphanes. Then you shall say to them, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, See, I am sending, and I shall bring Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babylon, my servant, and I shall set his throne above these stones that I have hidden, and he shall spread his canopy over them. And he shall come and smite the land of Mitzrayim, bringing death to those appointed for death, and captivity those for captivity, and the sword for those for the sword. And he shall set fire to the houses of the mighty ones of Mitzrayim, and he shall burn them and take them captive, and he shall cover himself with the land of Mitzrayim, as a shepherd puts on his garment, and he shall go out from there in peace. And he shall break the stone pillars of the house of the sun. Check that out. The stone pillars of the house of the sun. Sounds like a Freemasonic temple, right? Which are in the land of Mitzrayim. And we still see a bunch of Egyptian um, like symbology today, right? The eye of Ra, the all-seeing eye. The checkered floors and all that stuff, the pillars. Remember we talked about that also in um, when we was talking about Solomon's temple, which are in the land of Mitzrayim, and he shall burn the houses of the mighty ones of the Mitzrites with fire. 44. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Yehudim who were dwelling in the land of Mitzrayim, who were dwelling at Migdol and at Taphanes and at Noph, and were in the land of Pathros, saying, Thus said you of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, you yourselves have seen all the evil that I have brought on Jerusalem and all the cities of Judah. And see, this day they are a ruin, and no one dwells in them, because of their evil that they have done to provoke me, by going to burn incense, by serving other mighty ones whom they did not know, they nor you nor your fathers. And I sent to you all my servants the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, Please do not do this abominable matter that I hate. But they did not listen or incline their ear to turn from their evil, nor to burn incense to other mighty ones. So my wrath and my displeasure were poured out and burned in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they become a ruin and a wasteland as it is this day. And now, thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, why are you doing this great evil against your lives, to cut off from you man and women, children and infant, from the midst of Judah, leaving none to remain, by provoking nations of the earth? So my wrath and my displeasure were poured out and burned in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they became a ruin and a wasteland as it is this day. And now, thus said you of Elohim of Elohim of hosts, Elohim of Yasharel, why are you doing this great evil against your lives? Hang on a second. Oh man, the mouse wheel moved up on me. No, it said that again. I'm sorry. I thought it moved up against me because it said it repeated the same thing. I'm sorry about that. I'm not feeling that good tonight. Okay, let's try that again. And the evils of their wives and your own evils and the evils of your wives, which they have done in the land of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem. To this day they have not been humbled, nor have they feared, nor have they walked in my Torah and in my laws that I have set before you and your fathers. Therefore, thus said you who of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, see, I am setting my face against you for evil and for cutting off all Judah. And I shall take the remnant of Judah who have set their faces to go in the land of Mitzrayim to sojourn there, and they shall be all consumed in the land of Mitzrayim, fall by the sword, consumed by scarcity of food. From the least to the greatest they shall die by the sword and by scarcity of food, and they shall be an oath and an astonishment and a curse and a reproach. And I shall punish those dwelling in the land of Mitzrayim, as I have punished Jerusalem, by the sword, by scarcity of food, and by pestilence. And none of the remnant of Judah who have gone into the land of Mitzrayim to sojourn there shall escape or survive, lest they return to the land of Judah, to which they are longing to return to dwell there. For they shall not return except those who escape. Then all the men who knew that their wives had burned incense to other mighty ones, and all the women who stood by, a great assembly, and all the people who dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, We are not going to listen to you in the matter about which you spoke to us in the name of Yahuwah, but we shall do whatever has gone out of our own mouth, to burn incense to the sovereigness of the heavens, and pour out drink offerings to her, as we have done. We and our fathers are sovereigns, and our heads in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and we had plenty of food and were well off and saw no evil. But since we ceased burning incense to the sovereigness of the heavens and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked all and have been consumed by the sword and by scarcity of food. So obviously the Egyptians and this remnant that went to Egypt, Mitzrayim, was worshiping this idol, this woman that they called the sovereigness, right? Which is not the first time we see this. It wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't Ishtar. Seriously, guys. I about lay money that this was Ishtar that they was worshiping. because that wasn't a new thing. They've been worshiping Ishtar for a long time, and they still are. They still are today. And when we burned incense to the sovereigness of the heavens, poured out drink offerings to her, we made cakes for her to idolize her, and poured out drink offerings to her without her husbands. Then Jeremiah spoke to all the people, to the men and the women, and to all the people who had given him that answer, saying, As for the incense that you burned in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, you and your fathers, your sovereigns and your heads, and the people of the land, did not Yahuwah remember them? And it came into his heart, and Yahuwah could no longer bear it because of the evil of your deeds and because of the abominations which you did. Therefore your land is a ruin and an object of astonishment, a curse, and without inhabitant as it is this day, because you have burned incense and because you have sinned against Yahuwah and did not obey the voice of Yahuwah or walk in his Torah, in his laws, or in his witnesses. Therefore this evil did befall you as at this day. And Jeremiah said to all the people and to all the women, Hear the word of Yahuwah, all Judah who are in the land of Mitzrayim. Thus spoke Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, saying, You and your wives have spoken with your mouths and have filled with your hands, saying, We shall perform our vows that we have made, to burn incense to the sovereigness of the heavens, and pour out drink offerings to her. Then confirm your vows and perform your vows. Confirm your vows and perform your vows. Therefore hear the word of Yahuwah, all Judah who are dwelling in the land of Mitzrayim. See, I have sworn by my great name, declares Yahuwah, my name shall no longer be called upon by the mouth of any man of Judah in all the land of Mitzrayim, saying, as the master Yahuwah lives. See, I am watching over them for evil and not for good. And all the men of Judah who are in the land of Mitzrayim shall be consumed by the sword and by scarcity of food until they come to an end. And those who escape the sword, few in number, shall return to the land from the land of Mitzrayim to the land of Judah, and all the remnant of Judah who came into the land of Mitzrayim to sojourn there shall know whose word is established, mine or theirs. And this is the sign to you, declares Yahuwah, that I am punishing you in this place, so that you know that my words are certainly established against you for evil. Thus said Yahuwah, See, I am giving Pharaoh Hophra, sovereign of Mitzrayim, into the hand of his enemies, and into the hand of those who seek his life, as I gave Zedekiah, sovereign of Judah, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, his enemy who sought his life. 45. The word that Jeremiah the prophet spoke to Baruch, son of Neriah, which was the scribe, Jeremiah's scribe, when he had written these words in a book from the mouth of Jeremiah in the 4th year of Joachim, son of Yashiyahu, sovereign of Judah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, concerning you, Baruch, you have said, Woe to me now, for Yahuwah has added grief to my pain. I have been wearied with my sighing, and I have found no rest. Say this to him, Thus said Yahuwah, See what I have built I am breaking down, and what I have planted I am plucking up, that is the entire land. And do you seek great matters for yourself? Do not seek them, for look, I am bringing evil on all flesh, declares Yahuwah, but I shall give you your life to you as a prize in all places wherever you go. Amen to that for Baruch. 46. The word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning the Gentiles, for Mitzrayim, concerning the army of Pharaoh Necho, sovereign of Mitzrayim, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, and which Nebuchadnezzar the sovereign of Babylon had smitten in the 4th year of Joachim, son of Yashiyahu, sovereign of Judah. Prepare the large and the small shield, and draw near to battle. Harness the horses, and mount up, you horsemen. Stand with helmets, polish the spears, put on the armor. Why do I see them afraid turn back, and their fighters are beaten down, and they have fled in haste, and did not look back? For fear was all around, declares Yahuwah. Do not let the swift flee away, nor the mighty man escape. They shall stumble and fall toward the north by the river Euphrates. Who is this rising like a flood, whose waters surge about like the rivers? Mitzrayim rises like a flood, and its waters surge about like the rivers. And he says, Let me rise and cover the earth. Let me destroy the city and its inhabitants. Go up, O horses, and rage, O chariots, and let the mighty men go forth. Cush
and Put, who handle the shield, and Lud, who handle the bend the bow. For this is the day of the Master Yahuwah of hosts, a day of vengeance, to revenge himself on his adversaries. And the sword shall devour and be satisfied and made drunk with their blood, for the Master Yahuwah of hosts has a slaughtering in the land of the north by the river Euphrates. Go up to Gilead and take balm, O maiden, the daughter of Mitzrayim. In vain you have used my many remedies. There is no healing for you. Nations have heard of your shame, and your cry has filled the land. For the mighty has stumbled against the mighty. They have both fallen together. The word which Yahuwah spoke to Jeremiah the prophet about the coming of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, to smite the land of Mitzrayim, declare in Mitzrayim, and let it be heard in Migdol, and let it be heard in Noph, and in Tephanes. Say, stand fast and be prepared, for a sword shall devour all around you. Why were your strong ones swept away? They did not stand because Yahuwah drove them away. He made many stumble. Indeed, they fell over each other and said, arise, let us go back to our own people and to the land of our birth, away from the oppressing sword. There they cried, Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, it's but a noise. He has let the appointed time pass by. As I live, declares the sovereign, whose name is Yahuwah of hosts, for as Tabar is among the mountains, and as Carmel by the sea, he shall come. O you daughter dwelling in Mitzrayim, prepare yourself to go into exile, for Noph shall become a waste and a ruin, and be burned without inhabitant. Mitzrayim is like a very pretty heifer, but destruction comes from the north, inhabited as in the days of old, declares Yahuwah. But as for you, do not fear, O my servant Jacob, and do not be discouraged, O Yashrael, for look, I am saving you from afar, and your descendants from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall have rest and be at ease, with no one disturbing. Do not fear, O Jacob, my servant, declares Yahuwah, for I am with you, though I make a complete end of all the Gentiles to which I have driven you, yet I do not make a complete end of you. But I shall reprove you in right ruling, and by no means leave you unpunished. There you go. And, then we have the time of Jacob's trouble. But see, we see that he will never leave Jacob. He has a plan to restore Israel, which is Jacob. Chapter 47. The word of Yahuwah that came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning the Philistines before Pharaoh smote Azza. Thus said Yahuwah, see, waters are rising out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and they shall overflow the land and all that's in it, the city and those who dwell within, and men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall wail. And at the noise of the stamping hooves of his strong horses, at the rushing of his chariots, and at the rumbling of his wheels, the fathers shall not look to their children because of weakness of hands, because of the day that shall come to ravage all the Philistines, to cut off from Sor and Sidon every helper that survives. For Yahuwah is ravaging the Philistines, the remnant of the isle of Caphtor. Baldness shall come upon Azza. Ashkelon shall be cut off with the remnant of their valley. Till when would you cut yourself? O you sword of Yahuwah, how long till you rest? O you sword of Yahuwah, how long till you rest? Put yourself up into your sheath, rest and be still. How shall it rest when Yahuwah has given it a command against Ashkelon and against the seashore? There he has appointed it. They're the ones that provoked him, though, right? Chapter 48. Concerning Moab, this is what Yahuwah of hosts, Elohim of Yashrael, said. Woe to Nebo, for it is ravaged. Kir Yathim is put to shame, captured. The high stronghold is put to shame and broken down. There is praise for Moab no longer. In Heshbon they have devised evil against her. Come and let us cut it off as a nation. O madman, you are also cut off. A sword goes after you. Listen, a outcry from Horonaim I can't say that one. Horonaim, ravaging great destruction. Moab shall be destroyed, her little ones shall cry out. For on the ascent to Lahith they go up weeping bitterly. For in the descent of Horonaim the enemies shall hear a cry of destruction. Flee, deliver your own lives, and be like a bush in the wilderness. For because you have trusted in your works and your treasures, you shall be captured, and Chemosh shall go forth into exile, his priests and his heads together. And a ravager shall come into every city, and no one escapes, and the valley shall perish, and the plain be destroyed, as Yahuwah has spoken. Give wings to Moab, for she has flown. For she has to flee away, and her cities become a ruin, with no one to dwell in them. Cursed is he who is slack in doing the work of Yahuwah, and cursed is he who withholds his sword from blood. Wow, that's a big statement. Moab has been at ease from his youth, and has settled on his dregs, and has not been emptied from vessel to vessel, nor has gone into exile. Therefore his flavor has stayed in him, and his fragrance is unchanged. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall send him tilters, who shall tilt him over and empty his vessels, and break the bottles. And Moab shall be ashamed because of Chemosh, as the house of Yashua was ashamed at Beth El, their refuge. How do you say we are mighty and strong men for battle? Moab is ravaged, and her cities have been entered, and her chosen young men have gone to the slaughter, declares the sovereign, whose name is Yahuwah of hosts. The calamity of Moab is near to come, and his affliction hurries fast. Lament for him, all you who are around him, and all you know his name, say, how the strong scepter has been broken, the staff of splendor. Come down from your esteem and sit in thirst, O inhabitant daughter of Dibon, for the ravager of Moab shall come against you, he shall destroy your strongholds. Stand by the way and watch, O inhabitant of Aroer. Ask him who flees and her who escapes, say what has been done. And I'm sorry, guys, I know it's probably hard to listen to me read tonight. I'm doing a horrible job. Moab, we're going to get through this, I promise. Moab has been put to shame, for it has been broken down. Howl and cry, let it be heard in Arnon that Moab is ravaged. And judgment has come on the plain country in Holon, and on Yatzah, and on Maphath, and on Dibon, and Nebo, and Beth Dib, Lethi, oh my gosh, Dib, Loth-aim. Try to read this stuff with me, guys. I'm telling you, it's hard. Kirathaim, and Beth Gamal, and Beth Himion, Kirioth, and Batzrah, and on the cities of the land of Moab, for far or near. The horn of Moab has been cut off, and his arm has been broken, declares Yahuwah. Make him drunk, because he has made himself great against Yahuwah. Moab shall splash in his vomit, and he shall also be in mockery. And was not Yashrael a mockery to you? Was he found among thieves? For whenever you speak of him, you shake your head. O inhabitants of Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove, making a nest in the sides of the cave's mouth. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud of his loftiness and arrogance and pride, and of the haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, declares Yahuwah, and his boastings are untrue, and his deeds are false. Therefore I wail for Moab, and I cry out for all Moab. I mourn the men of Kir Herez. O vine of Sibmah, I weep for you with the weeping of Yazir. Your branches have passed over the sea. They have come to the sea of Yazir. The ravager has fallen on your summer fruit and your grape harvest. Joy and gladness have been taken away from the orchard and from the land of Moab, and I have made wine to cease from the wine presses. No one treads with shouting. The shouting is no shouting. From the outcry of Heshbon unto Eleh, everyone pronounce that, unto Yahatz, they shall raise their voice from Soar to Haran Ayim, like a 3-year-old heifer. For even the waters of Nimrim are dried up. And guys, this is a hard one to get through, I know. But we understand that he's talking about these cities where he's sending Jeremiah to tell them, to warn these people, these different cities. That's what it was all about back then. And I shall make an end in Moab to him who offers in high places and burns incense to his mighty ones, declares Yahuwah. So my heart sounds for Moab like flutes, and my heart sounds for the men of Kir Harez like flutes. Therefore the wealth they made shall be gone. For every head is bald and every beard clipped, cuts on all the hands and sackcloth on all the loins. So, that statement means they're in mourning. On all the housetops of Moab, and in its streets is all lamentation, for I have broken Moab like a vessel in which no one delights, declares Yahuwah. How has she been broken down? They shall wail. How has Moab turned her back with shame? So Moab shall be a mockery and a horror to all those about her. For thus said Yahuwah, see, he soars like an eagle and shall spread his wings over Moab. Kerioth shall be captured and the stronghold seized, and the heart of the mighty man in Moab, and on that day shall be like the heart of a woman in labor. And Moab shall be destroyed as a people, because he has made himself great against Yahuwah. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitant of Moab, declares Yahuwah. He who flees from the fear falls into the pit, and he who gets out of the pit is caught in the snare. For I am bringing upon Moab the year of their punishment, declares Yahuwah. Those who fled stood powerless under the shadow of Heshbon, but a fire shall come out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sihon, and consume the brow of Moab and the crown of the head of the sons of uproar. Woe to you, O Moab! The people of Chemosh have perished, for your sons have been taken into exile, and your daughters into exile. But I shall turn back the captivity of Moab in the latter days, declares Yahuwah. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. So that's what he sent Jeremiah to tell them, to Moab. That's a long chapter. Chapter 49. We're going to finish this, guys. I'm telling you. Judgment on Ammon, obviously. So can we see, this is what Jeremiah is doing. He's going to these different cities and he's warning them of what's coming for them, which is Yahuwah's wrath and exile. Concerning the Ammonites, thus said Yahuwah, has Yashrael no sons? Has he no heir? Why has Malcham taken possession of Gad, and his people dwell in its cities? Therefore, see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall sound a battle cry in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a heap in a wasteland, and her villages shall be burned with fire. Then Yashrael shall dispossess those who dispossessed him, declares Yahuwah. Howl, O Heshbon, for Ai. Remember, we see that in Joshua. Ai is ravaged. Cry, daughters of Rabbah, gird on sackcloth, lament, and diligently search by the walls of Malcham shall go into exile with his priests and his heads. Why do you boast in the valleys of your flowing valley, O backsliding daughter who is trusting in her treasures, saying, who would come against us? Against me. See, I am bringing fear upon you from all those around you, declares the Master Yahuwah of hosts, and you shall be driven out, each one straight ahead, with no one to bring home the wanderer. And after this I turn back the captivity of the children of Ammon, declares Yahuwah. Now we see the judgment on Edom. Concerning Edom, thus said Yahuwah of hosts, is there no more wisdom in Teman? The time that I shall punish him. If grape gatherers came to you, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? Even thieves by night would destroy only until they had enough. We see actually back in Numbers that he actually told them to leave. He actually told them to leave, room or fruit in the crops for the poor to glean. So I think that verse right there is awesome. But as for me, I shall make Esau bare. I shall uncover his hiding places so that he is unable to conceal himself. His seeds is ravaged, his brothers and his neighbors, and he is no more. Leave your fatherless children, let me keep them alive, and let your widows trust in me. For thus said Yahuwah, see, those who whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, have certainly drunk, and are you the one to go unpunished? You shall not go unpunished, but certainly drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, declares Yahuwah, that Bozrah is to become a ruin, a reproach, and a waste, and a curse, and all its cities become everlasting wastes. I have heard a report from Yahuwah, and an envoy has been sent to the nations to gather together, come against her, and rise up to battle. For look, I shall make you small among nations, despised among men. The dread for you, the pride of your heart, has deceived you, O you who dwell in the clefts of the rock, holding the height of the hill. Though you make your nest as high as the eagle, from there I'll bring you down, declares the Master. And Edom shall be a ruin. Everyone who passes by it is astonished and whistles at all its plagues. See, he wants us to be, humbled, is what we get out of all this. They all forgot him and they all turned to idolatry, every one of these cities. It's sad. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and their neighboring cities, declares Yahuwah, no one shall dwell there, nor would a son of man sojourn in it. See, he comes up like a lion from the Jordan jungle against the home of the strong, but in an instant I shall make him run away from her, and who is the chosen one to appoint over her? For who is like me, and who summons me, and who is that shepherd who stands before me? Therefore hear the counsel of Yahuwah, which he has counseled concerning Edom, and the purposes he has purposed concerning the inhabitants of Teman. The least of the flock shall drag them away. He shall make their pasture a waste before them. The earth shall be shaken at the noise of their fall. There is an outcry. Its noise is heard at the sea of reeds. See, like an eagle, he flies up and spreads his wings over Bozrah. And the heart of the mighty men of Edom in that day shall be like the heart of the women in her pain. Like he said about every one of these cities, like the heart of a woman in her pain. Concerning Damascus, Hamath and Arpad have been put to shame, for they have heard an evil report. They have been melted in anxiety, like the sea unable to rest. Damascus has become feeble. She has turned to flee, and trembling has seized her. Distress and pain have taken hold of her like a woman in labor. How is the city of praise deserted, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men fall in her streets, and all the men of battle are cut off in that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts. And I shall kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad and Kedar, and to the reigns of Hatzor, which Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, smote. Thus said Yahuwah, arise, go up to Kedar, and ravage the men of the east, their tents and their flocks, their curtains and their vessels, all their vessels shall be taken, and they shall be taken away their camels for themselves, and they shall cry out to them, fear is on every side. Flee, go away, dwell in depths, O inhabitants of Hatzor, declares Yahuwah. For Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, has taken counsel against you, and has devised a plan against you. Arise, go up to the nation at ease that dwells safely, declares Yahuwah. It has no gates or bars, they dwell alone. And their camels shall become plunder, and their large herds booty. And I shall scatter them to all winds, those who cut off the corner, and bring their calamity from all its sides, declares Yahuwah. Hatzor shall be an habitation for jackals, and a desert forever. No one dwells there, nor does son of man sojourn in it. The word of Yahuwah that came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, the sovereign of Judah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, I am breaking the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. And I shall bring upon Elam the four winds of the four quarters of the heavens, and scatter them toward all those winds, and there shall be no nation where the outcasts of Elam do not go. And I shall break Elam before their enemies, and before those who seek their life, and I shall bring evil upon them, my burning displeasure, declares Yahuwah, and I shall send the sword after them until I have consumed them. And I shall set my throne in Elam, and destroy from there the sovereign and the heads, declares Yahuwah. And it shall be in the latter days that I turn back the captivity of Elam, declares Yahuwah. Okay, finally got through that, guys. That was a lot of cities right there. Judgment on Babylon. Let's get this done. The word that Yahuwah concerning Babylon, concerning the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Now we see this is a city that he's using and the people that he's using to consume and to exile all these people. So let's see what he's going to do to Babylon. Declares among the nations, and let it be heard, and lift up a banner, and let it be heard, and do not conceal it. Say, Babylon shall be taken, Bel shall be put to shame, Merodach shall be broken, her images shall be put to shame, her idols shall be broken. For a nation shall come up against her from the north, which shall make her land waste, and none shall dwell in it. They shall flee, they shall go, both man and beast. In those days, at that time, declares Yahuwah, the children of Yashrael shall come, they and the children of Judah together, weeping as they come, and seek Yahuwah their Elohim. They shall ask the way of Zion, their faces toward it. Come and let us join ourselves to Yahuwah in an everlasting covenant, never to be forgotten. And guys, that part is what we was talking about in Jeremiah 31, which we have not got to yet. We have to understand that. My people have been wandering sheep. Go read Peter and go read James and see if we're not still these. He says, I come to bring, Yahusha said that he come only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. See, that's where we get the sheep. That's where we get that word from, that we're sheep. We're wandering sheep. We're in the dispersion right now. We still have not been brought back yet. Their shepherds have led them astray, turning them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All who found them have devoured them, and their adversaries have said, we are not guilty, because they have sinned against Yahuwah, the home of righteousness, and the expectation of their fathers, Yahuwah. Flee from the midst of Babylon, come out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as rams before a flock. Okay. And they compared that to come out of my people in Babylon. For look, I am stirring up and bringing up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from a land of the north, and they shall array themselves against her. From there she shall be captured, their arrows, and like those of a mighty skilled man, not returning empty-handed. And Chaldee shall become a plunder, and all who plunder her shall satisfy themselves, declares Yahuwah. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, you who plunder my inheritance, because you have grown fat like a heifer threshing grain, and you neigh like stallions. Your mother shall be greatly ashamed. She who bore you shall be humiliated. Look, the last of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land and a desert. Because of the wrath of Yahuwah, she shall not be inhabited, but she shall be deserted, all of it. Everyone passing by Babylon shall be astonished and whistle at all her plagues. And notice he said that about every city that he's talked about so far. Yet yourselves in array against Babylon all around, all you bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahuwah. Shout against her all around. She has given her hand, her foundations have fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of Yahuwah. Take vengeance on her, as she has done, so do to her. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him who handles the sickle at harvest time. From before the sword of the oppressor, each one turns to his own people, and each one flees into his own land. Yasharel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First the sovereign of Ashur devoured him, and now at last this Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, has broken his bones. Therefore, thus said you of hosts, the Elohim of Yashrael, see, I am punishing the sovereign of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the sovereign of Ashur. And I shall bring back Yashrael to his pasture, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his being shall be satisfied on Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days, at that time, declares Yahuwah, the crookedness of Yashrael shall be searched for, but there shall be none. And the sin of Judah, but none shall be found. For I shall pardon those whom I leave as a remnant. Go up against the land of Merathaim, against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, slay and put them under the ban, declares Yahuwah, and do according to all that I have commanded you. There is a sound of battle in the land and a great destruction. How the hammer of all the earth has been cut off and broken. How Babylon has become a ruin among the nations. I have laid a snare for you, and you were captured, O Babylon, and you yourself did not know. You have been found and also caught because you have strove against Yahuwah. Yahuwah has opened his armory and has brought out the weapons of his displeasure. For the master Elohim of hosts has a work to do in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from every quarter, open her storehouses, pile her up as heaps of ruins, and put her under the ban. Let her have no remnant. Slay all her bulls, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe to them, for their day has come, the time of their punishment. Listen, they flee and escape from the land of Babylon to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahuwah or Elohim, the vengeance of his temple, because they destroyed the temple. Summon archers against Babylon, all who have bent the bow, encamp against it all around. Let no one escape. Repay her according to her work. Do to her according to all that she has done, for she has been proud against Yahuwah, against the set apart one of Yasharel. Therefore her young men shall fall in the streets, and all her men of battle shall perish in that day, declares Yahuwah. See, I am against you, O proud one, declares the Master Yahuwah of hosts, for your day has come, the time of your punishment. And the proud one shall stumble, and he shall fall, with no one to raise him up, and I shall kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all around him. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the children of Yasharel were oppressed, along with the children of Judah, and all who took them captive had held them fast. They refused to let them go. The Redeemer is strong. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. The Redeemer is strong. The Yahuwah of hosts is his name. He shall strongly plead their case, so as to give rest to the land, but unrest to the inhabitants of Babylon. So see how he used Babylon to punish them, but then he's going to punish Babylon and let them come back. Isn't that, awesome? A sword is upon the Chaldeans, declares Yahuwah, and it is upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her heads and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall be fools. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be broken down. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mixed peoples who are in her midst. And they shall become like women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be plundered. A sword is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is a land of carved images, and they boast about their idols. Therefore the wild desert beast shall dwell with the jackals, and the ostriches dwell in it, and it shall never again be inhabited, nor dwell in unto all generations. As Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and their neighboring cities, declares Yahuwah, so no one would dwell there, nor would Son of Man sojourn in it. See, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many sovereigns stirred up from the ends of the earth. They lay hold of bow and spear. They are cruel, and they show no compassion. They sound like the roaring sea, and ride on horses set in array, like a man for the battle against you, O daughter of Babylon. The sovereign of Babylon has heard the report about them, and his hands become weak. Distress has seized him, pain like that of a woman in labor. See, he comes up like a lion from the Jordan jungle against the enduring pasture, but in an instant I shall make them run away from her. And who is the chosen one whom I appoint against her? For who is like me, who summons me, and who is that shepherd who stands before me? Therefore hear the counsel of Yahuwah, which he has counseled concerning Babylon, and his purposes he has purposed concerning the land of the Chaldeans. The least of the flock shall drag them away. He shall make their pasture a waste before them. At the sound of Babylon's capture, the earth shall be shaken, and the outcry shall be heard among the nations. Wow. That was 50 chapters. I mean, that was, how many verses was that? Felt like, 46 verses. I don't know why I said 50 chapters. I'm having a hard time tonight, as you can tell. Okay. Not too much left, guys. We're going to get this done, I promise. I hope you guys, you should be able to see the pattern of what's going on here. What the overall message is here. Now we see about the utter destruction of Babylon, as the header says here. Thus said Yahuwah, see, I am stirring up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon, against those who dwell in Leb, my opponents. And I shall send winnowers to Babylon, who shall winnow her empty her land, for they shall be against her all around in the day of evil. Let the archer draw his bow, and let him stand steady in his armor. Do not spare her young men, put all her army under the ban. And the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and the pierced through in her streets. For neither Yashrael nor Judah is widowed by his Elohim, Yahuwah of hosts. Their land has been filled with the sin against the set apart one of Yashrael. To flee from the midst of Babylon, and let each one save his life. Do not be cut off in her crookedness, for this is the time of the vengeance of Yahuwah, the recompense he is repaying her. And again, that's the same thing in Revelation 18:4, where it says, flee from Babylon. Come out of my people, lest you share in her sins. Same thing as he's saying there. Flee from Babylon. Babylon was a golden cup in the hand of Yahuwah, making drunk all the earth. The nations drank her wine. That is why the nations went mad. That's the same thing it says in Revelation 17 right here, that they drunk the wine of Babylon. They had become drunken with the wine of Babylon. Of course, we're going to cover all that later. And now you'll have the context to understand what he's talking about. Babylon shall suddenly fall and be broken. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she might be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Let us leave her, and each go into his own land, for her judgment reaches to the heavens and is lifted up to the clouds. Yahuwah has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us relate in Zion the work of Yahuwah our Elohim. Polish the arrows, put on the shields. Yahuwah has stirred up the spirit of the sovereigns of the Medes, for his plan is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahuwah, the vengeance for his temple. And we see again, like I said earlier, the first temple in 2 Kings, that Babylon. See, all this stuff already happened in 2 Kings. They destroyed the temple when they took them in exile. Lift up a banner on the walls of Babylon. Strengthen the watch. Station the watchmen. Prepare the ambush. For Yahuwah has both planned and done what he has spoke concerning the inhabitants of Babylon. You who dwell upon many waters, great in treasures, your end is come. The measure of your greedy gain. Yahuwah of hosts has sworn by himself, I shall certainly fill you with men as with locusts, and they shall lift up a shout against you. He has made the earth by his established the word by his wisdom, and stretched out things for the rain, and he brings the wind out of his treasuries. All mankind has become too brutish to know. Every smith has been put to shame by the carved image. For his molded image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are worthless, a work of mockery. In the time of their punishment they perish. This is the same thing that Baruch said in chapter 6 also. Baruch chapter 6. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the maker of all, and Yashrael is the tribe of his inheritance. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. You are my battle axe, weapons of battle, and with you I shall break nations in pieces, and with you I shall destroy reigns, and with you I shall break in pieces the horse and its rider, and with you I shall break in pieces the chariot and its rider, and with you I shall break in pieces man and woman, and with you I shall break in pieces old and young, and with you I shall break in pieces young man and the maiden, and with you I shall break in pieces the shepherd and his flock, and with you I shall break in pieces the farmer and his yoke of oxen, and with you I shall break in pieces governors and rulers. And I shall repay Babylon and all the inhabitants of the Chaldee, for all the evil they have done in Zion before your eyes, declares Yahuwah. See, I am against you, O destroying mountain, who destroys all the earth, declares Yahuwah. And I shall stretch out my hand against you, and I shall roll you down from the rocks, and make you a burnt mountain. And they shall not take you from a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but you shall be a waste forever, declares Yahuwah. Lift up a banner in the land, blow the ram's horn among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call the reigns together against her, Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz, appoint a commander against her, bring up horses like hairy locusts. And that sounds just like, remember, guys, the locust from the bottomless pit in Revelation? There you go. Separate the nations against her with the sovereigns of the Medes, its governors and all its rulers, and all the land of his rule, so that the land shakes with rifts and pain. For every plan of Yahuwah shall be established against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a ruin without inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have ceased to fight; they remained in their strongholds. Their might has failed; they became like women. They burned her dwelling places; the bars of her gate have been broken. One runner runs to meet another, and one reporter to meet another, to report to the sovereign of Babylon that his city is taken on all sides. And the fords have been captured, and they have burned the reeds with fire, and the soldiers are startled. For thus said you of hosts, Elam of Yashrael, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor at the time it is trodden. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babylon, has devoured us. He has crushed us. He has made us an empty vessel. He has swallowed us up like a monster. He has filled his stomach with the delicacies. He has driven us away. Let the violence done to me and my flesh be upon Babylon, says the inhabitant of Zion, and let my blood be upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, says Jerusalem. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, see, I am pleading your case, and I shall take vengeance for you, and dry up her sea, and make her fountain dry. And Babylon shall become a heap, a habitation of jackals, an astonishment and hissing, without inhabitant. Therefore they roar like lions, they shall growl like lions' cubs. In their heat I prepare their feast, and I shall make them drunk, so that they rejoice and sleep a never-ending sleep and not awake, declares Yahuwah. I shall bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with male goats. Oh, how Sheshach has been captured, the praise of all the earth has been seized, how Babylon has become a ruin among the nations. The sea has risen over Babylon, she has been covered with the roaring of its waves. Her cities have become a ruin, a dry land and a desert, a land where no one dwells, neither does Son of Man pass by it. And I shall punish Bel in Babylon, and I shall make him spew out what he has swallowed, and nations shall no longer stream to him, even the wall of Babylon shall fall. Come out of her midst, my people, and let everyone deliver his being from the burning displeasure of Yahuwah, which is what we just talked about earlier. Come out of her, my people. And I want to talk about this in a second, guys. Something very important that I've been working on. Something very important that I've been thinking of and studying out. And it's maybe like, the biggest thing that I've ever, one of the biggest things that I've talked about that I want everybody to know. So let's finish this right quick. Unless your heart grow faint and you fear the report heard in the land, and for a report you shall come 1 year, and after that in another year a report shall come, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore see, the days are coming that I shall bring punishment on the carved images of Babylon, and all her land shall be put to shame, and all her slain fall in her midst. And the heavens and the earth and all that is in them shall shout for the joy over Babylon, for the ravager shall come to her from the north, declares Yahuwah. As Babylon is to fall for the slain of Yashrael, so for Babylon the slain of all the earth shall fall. You have escaped the sword, go away, do not stand still. Remember Yahuwah from afar, and let Jerusalem come to your heart. We are ashamed because we have heard reproach. Shame has covered our faces, for strangers have come into the set-apart places of the house of Yahuwah. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, that I shall bring punishment on her carved images, while the wounded groan throughout all her land. Though Babylon shall mount up to the heavens, and though she should make the height of her strength inaccessible, ravagers shall come to her from me, declares Yahuwah. Listen, a cry from Babylon, a great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because Yahuwah is ravaging Babylon, and shall silence her loud voice, and her waves shall roar like great waters. The noise of their voice shall resound, because the ravager shall come against her, against Babylon, and her mighty men shall be captured. Every one of their bows, shall be broken, for Yahuwah is the El of recompense, he shall certainly repay. And I shall make her rulers drunk, and her wise men, her governors, and her deputies, and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a lasting sleep and not wake, declares the sovereign, whose name is Yahuwah of hosts. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon are completely demolished, and her high gates are burned with fire, and peoples labor in vain, and the nations weary themselves for fire. The word that Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah the son of Neriah, son of Messiah, when he went to Zedekiah, the sovereign of Judah, and to Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and Seraiah was a quartermaster. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that would come upon Babylon, all these words which have been written concerning Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, when you come to Babylon and see it, and read all these words, then you shall say, O Yahuwah, you have spoken concerning this place to cut it off, so that no one shall dwell in it, neither man or beast, for it is a ruin forever. And it shall be when you have ended reading this book, that you shall tie a stone to it and throw it into the midst of the Euphrates, and shall say, so does Babylon sink and not rise from that evil that I am bringing upon her, and that they shall weary themselves. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Here we go. Let's not stop there. Chapter 52. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. Wow. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah according to all that Jehoiakim had done, like we read about in Kings. For though the displeasure of Yahuwah, this came to be against Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast him out of his presence, and Zedekiah rebelled against the sovereign of Babylon. And it came to be in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it, and they built a siege wall against it all around. And the city was under siege until the 11th year of sovereign Zedekiah. On the 9th of the 4th month, the scarcity of food was so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was breached, and all the men of battle fled and went out to the city at night by the way of the gate, the 2 walls, which was by the sovereign's garden, while the Chaldeans were near the city all around. And they went by the way of the desert plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the sovereign, and they overtook Zedekiah in the desert, the plains of Jericho, and his entire army was scattered from him. Then they captured the sovereign and brought him unto the sovereign of Babylon at Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he pronounced judgments on him. And the sovereign of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and he also slew all the heads of Judah in Riblah. And he put out the eyes of Zedekiah. And the sovereign of Babylon bound him in bronze shackles and took him to Babylon and put him in prison till the day of his death. And on the 10th of the 5th month, which was the 19th year of the sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, who served the sovereign of Babylon, came to Jerusalem, and he burned the house of Yahuwah. He burned the temple of Yahuwah, and the sovereign's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men he burned with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the chief of the guard broke down all the walls of Jerusalem all around. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, exiled some of the poor people, and the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the defectors who had gone over to the sovereign of Babylon, and the rest of the craftsmen. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, left some of the poor people of the land as vine dressers and farmers. And the Chaldeans broke the bronze columns that were in the house of Yahuwah, and the stands and the bronze sea that were in the house of Yahuwah, and brought all their bronze to Babylon. They also took away the pots, the shovels, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the ladles, and the bronze utensils with which they served, and the basins, and the fire holders, and the bowls, and the pots, and the lampstands, and the ladles, and the cups, whatever was of solid gold and whatever was of solid silver, the chief of the guard took. The 2 columns, which we see all about this in Solomon, and we see about this in Kings, right? 1c, the 12 bronze bulls which were under it, and the stands which sovereign Solomon had made for the house of Yahuwah. The bronze of all these vessels was beyond weighing. As for the columns, the height of the one column was 18 cubits, and its circumference was 12 cubits, and its thickness was 4 fingers hollow. And a capital of bronze was on it, and the height of one capital was 5 cubits, with a network of pomegranates all around the capital, all of bronze. And the second column with pomegranates was the same. And there were 96 pomegranates on the sides. All the pomegranates on the network were 100 all around. And the chief of the guard took Seraiah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the second priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. And from the city he took 1 eunuch who was in charge of the men of battle, and 7 men who saw the sovereign's face, who were found in the city, and the scribe of the commander of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, took these and brought them into the sovereign of Babylon at Riblah. And the sovereign of Babylon smote them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was exiled from its own land. These are the people whom Nebuchadnezzar exiled in the 7th year, 3,023 Yehudim, which are the Jews. In the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, he exiled from Jerusalem 832 beings. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, exiled of the Yehudim 745 beings. All the beings were 4,600. And it come to be in the 37th year of the exile of Joachim, pronounced Joachim, sovereign of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 25th of the month, that Ewell Merodach, sovereign of Babylon, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Joachim, sovereign of Judah, and brought him out of prison, and spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above those of the sovereigns who were with him in Babylon. So he changed his prison garments, and he ate bread continually before the sovereign all the days of his life. And as for his allowance, there was a continual allowance given him by the sovereign of Babylon, and a portion for each day until the day of his death, all the days of his life. And there it is, guys. That's the book of Jeremiah. Finished it. Now we're going to start in Lamentations tomorrow, and we're going to finish the whole book of Lamentations in one day, and then we're going to be in Ezekiel. Amen, guys. We're getting through it, man. And Ezekiel's another long one. It's got 48 chapters. Yeah, man. But we're going to get through it. And personally, yeah, I mean, guys, there's just so much stuff going on right now. I hope everybody's paying attention, really, and understanding what all this is talking about. But I'm not going to do it right now, guys, because I'm literally wore out from reading all that. That was a lot of reading. I don't know. It just felt like I read for 3 hours for some reason right there. I didn't think it was ever going to end. Which I love to read, don't get me wrong, but I'm just feeling bad right now. Please be praying for me. Thank you, Sister Pam, for being here. Seriously. I really appreciate that. You don't know how much I appreciate that, sister. I really do. Believing to seeing. Good to see you, brother. Sister Heather. Brother Kenny. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I said that I was going to talk about something earlier in the middle of that reading. Guys, I'm going to talk to you guys about I want to talk to you guys about the son of perdition and the second coming. You know, everybody talks about the end times, but I'm telling you, earlier, as I was thinking this, been thinking this for a while, and Scott was talking about it the other day, but I'm telling you guys, I have a really, really strong case of how I believe the second coming is going to happen. I really do. I think everybody's looking for this physical stuff, but I think it's more spiritual this time. I'm telling you, as it was before, it was physical. We're going to see in First Maccabees chapter 4, guys, that there was already an abomination of desolation that Daniel spoke of. That one's already passed. But Yahusha talks about another one, guys, and I think it's more spiritual than it is physical. I'm serious, and I want to talk about that in detail at another time. But it's a lot of scripture to go over, and I want to get it worked out, and I want to put it together, and then I want to present it as a teaching or not a teaching, but as a presentation of some kind. But I'm telling you, I think I'm onto something. No joke. When you know something, you just feel it inside your heart. That's what happened to me earlier, and I'm telling you, that's what I feel like when I think about this. I think he's opened my eyes to this, and I want to share it with everybody. But I want to put it together in a good way, and then share it. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the book of Jeremiah. I hope you enjoyed the book of Isaiah. And I know a lot of people don't read these prophets a lot. So I hope you guys really enjoyed these and really understand the context of the King's era and why they was exiled, why we was dispersed, how we're going to be brought back. Yeah. Exactly, Kenny. Exactly. I definitely think you're right, man. I think it's more spiritual this time. I really do, because I'm going to show you the argument that I'm going to present, and tell me if I'm wrong, which I'm not going to talk about it now, but I'm going to put it together on paper and get all the verses worked out and get this argument worked out. And I'm telling you, I just feel it. I can just feel it. Well, you see the spirit in the world already too, guys. Look around. We already see the spirit here. We see people worshiping him. We see people worshiping the anti-Messiah right now, guys. I'm telling you. Remember what Isaiah said? I am Yahuwah. I give my esteem to none other. To none other. Guys, they're worshiping the lawless one right now. Thanks, Believing is Seeing. I appreciate that, man. I'll be praying for you guys. You guys are awesome. Every one of you all, man. I mean that. Thanks for being here with me, because it wouldn't be a fellowship without you guys. That was a lot of reading, and I know a lot of it was hard to listen to because I didn't do that good of a job tonight reading. So I was stuttering a lot, and I had a hard time getting through some of the names. So I know that's hard to listen to sometimes. So I appreciate you guys bearing with it. That's right. That's right, Kenny. That's what I think, and that's what I've come to the conclusion of. I'm serious. Just like we was reading tonight, you know how he said he's going to put his spirit in us, the law in us this time, and he wants us. It's more spiritual this time. Very serious stuff. I mean, Heather, thanks. Believing is Seeing. I need prayer. That's for sure. Be praying for you guys also. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll read the book of Lamentations. And then on the Sabbath, we're going to read 2nd Baruch. Don't miss that, because it goes right along with what we're talking about now. Love you guys. Shalom.